Hi everyone, welcome back to Self Protection Extra. We're here at beautiful Ben Avery Shooting Facility, the largest publicly owned shooting range in the world. So you can hear on other ranges there's shooting going on. Today we want to shoot the standards that the officers in a recent badge cam out of Las Vegas had to shoot. They're spicy standards, but I think everybody who carries a firearm should be able to do them. Everyone should have a less lethal tool on their person in this day and age, and the one that I carry, give to my family, and recommend to everyone is Palm OC. Hit the link in the description and you can get one for you and yours as well. Now, mea culpa, when I say everybody should be able to do this, quite frankly, I don't think most concealed carriers can do it. And quite frankly, I don't think most police officers can do what these officers did. The Las Vegas Metro PD, they train their officers to a really high standard. Those folks are pretty switched on. I don't think most people can do that. And today we are going to shoot the pistol standards. So we'll put a link in the description to the video in question. The first part of that is with a pistol. The officer had an RMR, red dot equipped pistol, and we are about 20 yards from our target, which is a photorealistic target. And when the guy turned and started pointing a gun at a bunch of bystanders, comes out of his apartment, starts pointing a gun at a bunch of bystanders. They are 20 yards away from him, which is where we're standing, and in from the ready. The officer had his gun out and said a bad word. He said, "Oh darn," and then got his gun up and took a shot at that guy and actually took 2 shots at him. What we're gonna work on today is we're gonna work on that first shot and making sure that it hits, and then we'll work on following it up as well. So in this particular officer-involved shooting, the officers knew that this guy was problems. He had been, hollering at people and waving a gun around and wouldn't turn his music down, so security had called police, and the police came. There was a 3-man team, a special response team, that again, they're not SWAT cops, but they showed up together. They got one with a shotgun. We'll talk about that later. But one of the big things that we saw here is the officer had his gun down kind of at a low ready position. Now, it's going to be hard for me to show you this on the camera, but what I want you to see is that I am looking at my red dot through the lens right now. This is up and on the target. This right here, my dot is actually at the dirt in front of the target. So it's not a far distance, right? I think a lot of people think, and they see low ready, and they think way down here like this, kind of like Charlie's Angels style. But what we really say here is, I want to point that gun in a safe direction. It's below my target, and then when it's time to come up, I come up and get my hit. That's about how far that has to be. So that's the time that we're going to do that. If you remember the standard, the officer came up and got a single hit. We want that high center chest hit at 20 yards from the low ready. Took him about 1.5 seconds. And so that's kind of the par that we're gonna set. So we're gonna just set up our range tech here, kind of set it out here, and then give ourselves a couple of opportunities at about 20 yards to see. Now, I know some people are gonna say, "John, this is a thing that the officer then had to do cold, so are you cold?" The answer is yes. I did a little bit of re-zeroing of my dot, but I haven't done any kind of shooting. However, I think it's hogwash that you have to be cold, because if the officer had done his dry fire that morning, then guess what? He was as warm as he was gonna get. In some places, officers are even allowed to take a few rounds out to the range at wherever their roll call is and warm up. If you do that, you should do that. But I have not been shooting today other than a couple of shots from a bench to verify 0 on my dot. So we're just gonna go from here and see how John does. 1.5 seconds into that A zone because that girl is pointing a gun at John. All right, there is the sight picture that I want. Pop right there, break right there. All right, here we go. We're gonna go that way. So that was a .77. So A-zone hit, .77, very good. Want to make sure it wasn't a fluke that that happens. Now, again, would I be okay with a high center chest shot? Again, centered on armpits, right beneath the nose. I'm really happy with that hit in .77. So again, the faster you're able to get that hit, the less chance you give that guy who is threatening everybody to move, to change, to make it bad for you, to shoot back. Let's try it again. All right, that's the visibility that I want. That's exactly what I want there. Another good A zone there at .70. Let's try it one more time. Oh, now that one was just right of where I really wanted it. So my dot came up tracking right and I just let it fly. That one about 0.72. So if I look at all three of mine here, I got a 0.77, a 0.70, and a 0.72. My third shot is inside the larger A zone, is just outside the little small A zone. If that was an 8-inch circle, I probably would still be inside it, but I hold myself to a pretty high standard there. Now, what we also saw from the officer is that he got up, he got a shot off, and then reset and got a second shot in there at about a 1-second split. So let's do a couple of iterations of that to get a couple of feels for that. And again, this is a high standard of marksmanship. All right, we see that. We're telling that guy, hey man, don't come out with a gun in your hand, buddy. Okay, got 2 good hits there. 1.6 total. So my first shot was a 0.7 and my second shot was a 0.9 after that. My second hit is just above the small A zone box where the bottom of her hands is. But again, if I put one in the heart, they're probably gonna move in that 9/10 of a second. Let's do it one more time so we get one more feel for it. Those ones I feel pretty good about. That was a 1.45, so we had a 0.71 first shot and a 7.4 split. So you guys can see all of those on our timer. Let's go down and take a look at our hits. Yeah, so this one was that third iteration of the first one. This one here, again, if I have an 8-inch circle, I think all these are probably right about in it. I'm really happy with all those. This was a second shot, that was a second shot. So am I okay with these shots? Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with those on this kind of target. Now I know some folks are gonna be like, hey John, I really want them all in this 5.5-inch circle. Me too, but at 20 yards, sometimes you're gonna open up just a little bit and I'm okay with all of those hits. This one's probably marginal. It's probably right along her diaphragm line, but okay. So what does this video remind us? Shooting at distance is harder than you think it is, and it's a pretty spicy standard. Now, thankfully today, I was significantly faster than what the standard of the officers on that day was. Of course, those officers are under actual duress with somebody they think has an actual gun. Turned out to be a BB gun, they didn't know that. Pointed at them and pointed at others. So I actually like that the officers took a little bit longer to do the exact same thing. The reason I like that is because they made sure they got their hits, and they did hit the guy 12 rounds out of 18 shots fired at these kinds of distances. So if you've got a range where you can shoot 20 yards, try this standard. It's pretty dang spicy.